Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Korex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. I'm your host, Korson Schmidt, founder at Kortex Media, helping automotive companies grow by creating custom-tailored growth plans to hit their goals and take their business to the next level. Today, I'm joined by Stan Sher, a dynamic force in the automotive world and founder of dealer eTraining. With 2 decades of hand-on experience, from selling cars on the showroom floor to managing dealerships and launching high-impact sales teams, Stan's journey is a testament to relentless growth and innovation. Known as the youngest sales trainer to work with dealer associations, he helped transform underperforming stores using a unique blend of real-world hustle, consulting expertise, and a passion for people development as it continues to inspire both dealers and professionals across the industry. It's great to have you on, Stan.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Amazing. So before we really dive into things, we'll just take it a step back. If you don't mind kind of taking us through your background, walk us through kind of what inspired you to take that first step into the automotive industry, and then later speak on your journey from selling cars, managing dealerships, and now founding Dealer eTraining.
All right. So I started out as, I was going to college to be a school teacher. I came here when I was 5 years old, immigrant family, came here from Ukraine, and like I said, 5 years old. Parents went right to work. They had opportunities to go get an education, to go build something, as a lot of other families did. They never had that drive. They just went right to work and just took on jobs and created careers for themselves. And in return, we were a middle-class family, I guess you could say, right? Back in the 90s. And I started working at a very young age. I started working at 14 years old. I became a lifeguard, worked for a pool management company for almost 8 years. And at one point I was working 3 jobs. I built the work ethic of working 60, 70-hour weeks when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, right? So, we had lifeguards that were working summer jobs, making $2 or $3 grand a summer. I was making 7, 8, stacking my money to the point where when I graduated high school, I went out and bought a brand new car, had a 740 credit score at 19, right? And I had the mentality of it, right? I wanted to do something big and be successful. And around age 20, my parents moved to Florida. We were living in New Jersey, East Brunswick, New Jersey. My parents moved to Florida, and I didn't want to move with them. I was going to school, and I'm like, no, I'm a big boy now. I'll stay here. I'm going to move out on my own. And I did. And I had a savings, which I went through in about 4 months, and then reality hit me. Car payments are due, tuition's due, right? I was paying for everything up front, and I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to get a little bit more serious. I want to dress for success. They say dress for the job you want, not the job you have, right? I'm sure you've heard that before. So I did that. So I first went to work at a Model Sporting Goods. I did it for 2 weeks. I was a cashier. I didn't like it. I was like, I could certainly do better than that. I'm getting paid the same or more sitting in front of a pool and doing nothing. I could do something better with my life. So Model Sporting Goods, 2 weeks I was out. I took a job selling cars. I first wanted to go do phone sales, selling Life Alert. I don't know if you ever heard of Life Alert. It was one of those infomercials where a senior citizen would fall and say, "Help me, I'm falling, I can't get up." They press the button, connected them, and then the EMT comes, right? It's called Life Alert. I went through a day and a half of phone skills training. They put me on to work, and I went home after 4 hours. Then they called me and said, "You're not cut out for this, try something else." So okay. Little did I know that 25 years later I'd be great on the phone, because it's what I do now, right? And it was a little bit of a humble pie for me, so I did that. Then I finally sold cars, took my first job interview, was wearing a sweater and khakis, got on the job interview, got hired. The recruiter and trainer said, "Do you know how to tie a tie?" I said, "No, I got like 6 ties, but I have no idea how to tie a tie." He goes, "Bring a tie in tomorrow, I'll teach you how to tie a tie." Great. Started the job, did about a week worth of training, got put on the showroom floor, shadowed some people, got put on to start selling cars. My first day, had a customer come in. I worked with him, and he left a deposit to come pick up the car the next morning. Comes in the next morning, picks up the car, they cut my tie. That's what they do in car dealerships. They'll usually cut a tie when to celebrate your first win, right? So I sold the guy a car, And literally 5 hours later, his brother comes looking for me to buy a car too. So not only did I sell a car, but I got a referral right off the bat, which the golden training of what we do in automotive is we train people to learn how to prospect and how to get referrals and repeats. And I got it right off my first sale. I looked at my commissions. I made $1,000 in my first 2 car deals. And I immediately said, yeah, I'm done with being a lifeguard. I said, I'm going to do this. My father, working in the auto industry, my dad was a Lexus master tech. He never wanted me to be in the business because he knew that I would end up making money, I would get good at it, and I would drop out of school. Now, what was I going to school for? I was going to school to be a school teacher. So I was already developing the mediocrity mindset of I want to be average or below average. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a teacher because I liked working with kids and I wanted to work with kids and develop them. I just realized that I'm going to be broke and I like all the nice things, so let me focus on getting paid. So I did it for the money. But then over time, the industry evolved. Like I became a manager 2 years later. I dropped out of school for the first time, went back to school online, dropped out again. $50,000 in debt, which I paid off, right? And then by the time I dropped out of school, I was already a manager in a car dealership making 6 figures. So I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I going to school if I'm already 24 years old? I'm doing great for myself, right? So I made a career out of it, but over time, it ended up being a lot more than that. I became an e-commerce director, a marketing director, a business development center director, where I ran a department with call center agents in a massive dealership. Then I did it for a couple stores, and I got good at it. Then I was like, okay, the lifeguard guy, he has no idea what he missed out on because here I am doing this, right? And that became my career. And then in 2010, about a month from now, 2010, I started dealer eTraining. I just got tired of working the crazy hours in a dealership. It felt like I was taking a lot of abuse. I worked in a good store and I made good money, but I wanted something more. So I started dealer eTraining, and here we are 15 years later. We've had a lot of bumps in the road. We can talk about that. But, because everybody fails. I went broke 3 times. And I kept coming back better and better. And I'm not afraid to go broke for a 4th and a 5th time because I know what it takes. I have the mentality and the work ethic of working 3 jobs as a lifeguard. I have a funny story. The last time I went broke, I was 50 grand in debt again, and I worked 3 gigs. I was doing whatever I can, and I paid all my debt off in less than a year and came back stronger. So I have that mentality. I wrote a book on this. Social Shares of Skills to Pay the Bills. I released it a couple years ago, literally talking about myself and how I can go from 0 to hero, back down to 0, even in the negatives, even below 0, and then come back up. And so I like to, give those up as lessons. And I feel like I just talked a lot about this, but I kind of gave you a good intro to where I came from.
No, it's amazing. You covered everything from your background, your experiences, and it's truly amazing. You came from a foreign country. Your parents started off showing you what a work ethic is, getting into a job right away, and you kind of followed that passion and followed the automotive industry even though you weren't supposed to. And it's a great industry for anyone to come in, whether you want to be a tech, whether you want to be working in a dealership, whatever you want to do with automotive. It's a great industry. It's a massive industry, and there's so much knowledge in the industry. And I love how you made that pivot, that you wanted to do more, and now you're helping those dealerships that do need a hand with certain aspects within their dealership. It's truly amazing. But before truly diving in, let's just, if you don't mind giving us a quick overview of your services at Dealer eTraining, just so the audience knows exactly kind of what you do within dealerships and how you can help them.
So I've evolved. Everybody evolved, right? The only thing I haven't really gotten into is technology, like AI and all that, right? I have a CRM for myself to prospect. One of my goals is to eventually get an LMS and do something more AI related, duplicate myself, right? I've been thinking a lot about that. But what I do is basically, it's very simple. I like to develop people. People are like, oh, you sell cars. What cars do you want? It's not about selling cars. See, everybody thinks because you're in the car industry, you're selling cars. It's not about cars, it's about people. Cars are the byproduct at the very end. That's the final thing that happens is the car. It's the transaction. Yeah. For me, it's about people. We are in the people business. We're not so much in the car business So what I do, I started off being a business development center coach and trainer and consultant. So I started out going into dealerships, assessing their BDC departments, which is a call center that makes calls and handles lead management to make appointments for car sales professionals, because car sales professionals are generally lazy and they don't want to do the job themselves. So we have a whole other layer of expense, a whole other department that makes appointments for them. Very expensive department, a lot of salaries involved, and I'm still partially, even though I've been doing this for 15 years, building and developing this department, I'm still kind of against that model. I still think that we need to empower our salespeople and have them actually work the deal and save a lot of expense. So that's been my thing. I've been a BDC trainer for most of the time. I've also evolved into sales training and leadership management training because I've had the honor and privilege of working with OEMs. I've spent 2.5 years working with Hyundai. I'm currently working with Ford. I'm working as a facilitator. I'm doing a lot of leadership training, and I'm doing a lot of communication skills training and team building, focusing on customer experience, because a part of what I was doing, in the BDC world is I was also covering, customer satisfaction index, which is reputation of a dealership, not just online, but internally. How do they rank with their surveys after they sell and service a vehicle or a customer? Because there's a lot of money tied into it. So I've become kind of an expert. I hate using the word expert in ninja, but I kind of become an expert in customer experience over the years. And I started working with OEMs on that. So that became another part of what I do. I do a lot of coaching and facilitating and management leadership coaching and training. When I don't do BDC, I also have my own outsourced call center in the Philippines. We work with a couple dealers where we do appointment setting for car dealerships as well. I do it mainly with independents. And then another part of what I do is started working about 5 years ago during COVID with buy here, pay here dealers. Because a lot of buy here, pay here dealers, they don't focus on appointment setting as much, they don't focus on lead management. They get a credit app and then they don't know how to bring the person into the showroom. And they miss out on so many opportunities every month. And I come in and I coach them in the same way that I coach a BDC in a regular dealership, but catering to the buy here, pay here process with working with credit apps. I do coaching on that as well. So it's essentially, those are my services.
You do a bit of everything, and you're master of all trades within the dealership. So when you step in, what is kind of the first thing that you look at when you step into a dealership? They call you up, hey, we want you to come work with us. We want you to consult with us. What's the first thing that you look at in that dealership to help them boost up their game or take their game to the next level?
I look at culture. I look at the culture of their store. Okay, a lot of people talk a big game. We want this. I want this. Rah, 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 rah. That's not it. We want everything. I look at their culture, okay? Because a lot of people, and I see this even though, I go into a store and you have a manager's leadership meeting and they say one thing, and then when you meet with the team and you assess the team, you find out a whole different story. And everyone's got it's a very good driven business. So I look at culture and I look at how full of crap are you. I look at that straight up, just like are you practicing what you're preaching, or are you just giving me lip service? Are you telling me what I want to hear because you want to appease me? Right? That happens a lot. So I look at culture, I look at process, and I look at how happy are people working here. And even though sometimes my focus is just working with call centers, if the sales department, the service department isn't on board properly, no matter what I do, it's not going to work. There's a lot of times I go into stores and I'm just a Band-Aid. Temporary. That's why there's dealerships that keep bringing me back, and then there's dealerships that, one and done, and then once in 3 years they'll bring me back. Why? Because they are not willing to do what they want to do. They want to write a check. I give them the tools. They don't want to listen. It is what it is. That's why it's tough for a consultant out there to do what they do.
For sure, yeah. It's you can always tell them exactly what you want them to do, what they need to do to up their game, but the biggest thing is you have to make sure they take the action, make sure they take that next step to truly evolve their company and their team to the goals that you create for them. As of right now, what are some of when you're working with dealerships, where do you see they need the greatest help when you step into the showroom floor and go help some of these dealerships? Where do you see the need for the greatest help?
A lot of managers need to get fired. We have this thing called the COVID manager, right? People got into a position of power and leadership because they sold a lot of cars, happened during COVID. Everybody's a superstar. There were people that probably already left the industry that went back, made a bunch of money because they had record profits, and now they went back to making minis and less money, and they're out of the business, back to $20 an hour at Walmart. A lot of managers, in my opinion, just don't manage and don't lead. That's one. With them not managing, not leading, their recruiting efforts are terrible. They don't hire for personality. They don't hire for people being coachable. A lot of dealerships I work with, they put bodies on the floor, and there's a lot of ignorance that goes into this. And I'm not trying to be negative or talk bad. Car dealers out there, I'm just telling you what I'm observing, right?
Yeah.
We hire people to put bodies, and they will say, "Oh, I'm having a hard time hiring people." Well, no, it's not that you're having a hard time hiring people. Yeah, it's hard to find good people, but you need to find people that come from hospitality industry, people that know how to hold a conversation, people that you can, I don't have a book on me, I did, people that you can put through Toastmasters. I thought actually I have it right here. Toastmasters, people that you can invest $100 in to go in and go to Toastmasters and learn how to be an effective communicator. You know, I was really bad at sales when I got into it, but I got better over time. I got better with experience, right? Some people are naturally born with it. Some people take a long time. It took me 2 years to get good at it, right? Here I am 22 years later, and I'm great at it. You know, but we need to be able to get people that are coachable. We need to have a culture of coaching people. And I think that that's what's missing in dealerships now. There's a couple stores I work with that are fantastic. One of the best leadership groups that I've ever worked with. I went in at a manager's meeting and I'm writing notes. So this is take notes on how you should do things, and I was doing that. So a lot of it's just leadership and culture.
For sure. I can totally agree with you there. And back to the point when you said COVID kind of changed the industry, that's one of the biggest things I hear on this podcast is that in COVID, everything shut down, everything went online, and everyone kind of almost lost their touch with sales, with one-on-one interactions with people because we were locked away for 2 years. And that's where the biggest thing that I hear from coaches or trainers or mentors like yourself is that's one of the biggest aspects we need to get back to, is get back in that sales training aspect, because a lot of people are a little bit more set behind than they were before the pandemic and etc.
Yep.
And sales is training, right? We're now having online sales, and a lot of stuff is pushing towards online as well. Can I just get your opinion on that, where you think online is going to take us, or do you still see it more being a showroom floor sale at the end of the day?
This business is changing. AI has grown its own legs. AI, it's like its own. We fed enough to AI, and now it's literally it's going at full circle, full speed. Listen, I think at the end of the day, I feel like there's people that are going to want to buy cars. I just totaled a car. I got into a big car accident on Sunday, right? Thankfully, I'm alive and well, but I'm about to go shop for my next car to replace it, right? And I'm not buying a car online. I mean, I'm going to find a car online, I'll shop, okay? Thankfully, I know enough people in the business that'll sell me a car, okay? But I'm not going to go, like, especially I'm probably going to buy a pre-owned car. I'm not going to buy a pre-owned car without looking at it. I'm not having it shipped to me from the West Coast to the East Coast. I'm not doing that. I don't want to buy something I can't feel, see, and touch. But that's me. Other people, they're like, oh, I wish I could just order a car online. I'm sick and tired of car dealerships. And here's the reality. I think it's, yes, car dealerships with their processes make it very difficult to buy a car. We're at fault for why people despise coming to us, right? But people also are conditioned and trained and taught to come and make our lives hell too. People, it's just, it's a double-edged sword, right? People are people. They're going to be conditioned. They're going to want to negotiate. They're going to want to do this. No matter how great your process is or how good, that's just how people are conditioned. So I feel like for the next 10 years maybe, we're still going to have both sides of the business, but I do see more online happening. COVID kind of helped digital retail. come into place. We started digital retail in the automotive industry and retail, and I worked with Hyundai for 2.5 years. Our push was to get dealers to use digital retail. Dealers, because they can't get out of their own way, they want to keep doing the when can you come in. They want to hire that expensive BDC we talked about. When can you come in? Their goal is to get as enough appointments as they can because they think that by bringing you into their store, they're going to work you and they're going to make more money off you. That's what it was. When I started selling cars, doing internet sales, the internet department was giving away cars. I used to call it giveaway motors. We were giving away cars just to get market share, and then the people that came into the door, they were getting charged more. And depending on how strong or weak your management is, I was running an internet department where I was running $500 per car more than the showroom floor because I worked my deals a little smarter. I also paid my people a little bit more on gross, and we made more money. We were profitable, and I'm going back to 2007. So I think that AI certainly is about to play a big role. I do think that companies like Carvana are about to get a bigger market share because I think I heard somewhere that they bought their first or second franchise dealership. So now if they got into the franchise game, they're going to get more franchise. Imagine what happens if they get a Toyota store and a Ford store and all these brands, and they start doing it this way. I'm curious to see, I'm also scared to see how much market share they're going to take away. And we did this to ourselves because a lot of us are operating at, this is our ego. I want to get them in the door. When can they come in? Just get them in. The salesman said, just get them in, just get them in. They don't think about what the real objective is, just get them in. So that just get them in mentality is what's hurting our business. And a lot of us are still operating on it. Listen, it helps me that we still have that part of the business because that's what brings me back into stores. That's what has me coaching and training and building BDC departments. But AI is starting to make things more difficult because I can hire an AI chatbot for $500, $600, maybe $1,000 a month to do the work of 3 humans. Mm-hmm. Outsourcing. I outsource my business development center. My people that work for me in the Philippines work harder and do a better job than most people do out here for $20 an hour because their work ethic is there. They don't come in with all the drama, with baby mama drama, or I like to call it, right? Like, oh, I have this, I can't come into work today. This one's sick, that one's sick. Everyone's got an excuse. I come into a store, 3 people are out. It's like we're paying people all this money and they don't want to work. Meanwhile, people in the Philippines, an hour early, hey Stan, can I log in an hour early and start working? Sure. And they communicate with me and I train them. I would train them 2 to 3 times a week on what to say. They do a better job in some cases than people do inside the store. Unfortunately, that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I totally agree with you there on AI. It's definitely going to change the industry around a lot. I've heard from dealers that have come on the podcast as well that a lot of them are kind of taking a step back. Like they'll have the odd automated message, hey, your service appointment's coming up soon, let's get one booked, etc. But with those actual conversations with online with prospects that have came to look at a car or coming to look at a car, they try to keep those more personal, more engaging with the salesperson themselves because they don't want to kind of push it away. People now can tell what's AI, what's not AI, and I do agree with the dealerships that aren't using the AI methods because everyone can tell, and it is something that obviously it's going to get better. AI is going to get more human-like, I guess you can call it, and be ready for those conversations to keep it more human-like. But it's almost it's going to be a weird world in the next 6 months because we're going to see that shift and people are going to be using AI, but it's going to seem like a real person and people aren't going to actually catch on. But I think it's something that's going to help the business a lot because if you're not speaking with your clients, you can be out making phone calls, you can be out doing other things as well, instead of trying to follow up with your prospects, with your clients all the time. So
now,
it's something that's going to be life-changing.
Keep in mind, AI is a beautiful thing. AI to me is a way to assist. I'm in the middle of writing my second book. It helped me come up with a title, which I spent 30 minutes, trying to perfect the right title, and I'm not quite there yet, but I have an idea now. It helped me with ideas. I'm like, okay, I want to write a book. I'm writing a book on communication. both business and personal. How to approach, because I'm a facilitator, I learned how to hold a conversation better, how to ask a question or frame a question in a way that can get me the answer I'm looking for. How do I frame something in a way that they don't get offended and they answer me more, politically correct? How can I tell if someone's full of crap, right? All this stuff, like that, it's almost like psychology. So I decided to write a book on communication skills. I'm about 9 chapters in. I'm trying to get 14 chapters out. I've been lazy all summer. I started it in July. I did everything in July. Now I'm starting to put pieces together. I'm also happy that it took me a while because different experiences, reading other books, communicating with certain people in my life, right? Those things kind of like give me more ideas to make the book better. And that's been a pleasure. That's been really pleasant for me. It's been a pleasure. But what did I do? I literally went in ChatGPT and I said, hey, help me create a guideline. I'm going to write a book on this, and this. I wrote out a whole 2 paragraphs of what I'm looking to do. And it literally came, here you go. Here's 14 chapters. This is what the chapter should be called. And then, of course, now I have my baseline. And as I write the book, as I'm writing my thoughts, as I'm, I literally had it. I'm like, okay, I like this chapter. Give me a synopsis of what I should write about. So it gives me a paragraph synopsis. Now I read it now, I'm like, I can do a little storytelling here. I can do a little storytelling here. Oh, this is good. Then I go and I use it to help me with some scientific research, like a search engine. So now I'm getting some scientific, some good quotes from people. And now, next thing you know, I'm sitting down and I'm 40 minutes. I just wrote a chapter, and it's like, whoo. Next, I'm going to use it to edit it for me to make sure that it sounds more professional. Because my first book wasn't the most well-written book. I was in a time crunch. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to use it for this. But if you notice how I'm going to probably give AI 15% of the credit of the book because it helped me come up with a baseline. People over the years would sit there and spend hours, months figuring out what's my book about. This helped me. And as I read it, it gets me thinking. And so even like I read an article. I want to write an article on this. Boom, 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 boom. The next thing you know, this is a good paragraph, but let me build on it. Next thing you know, I write a whole article. It's supposed to be there to help enhance our minds, right? It's supposed to be there to help us be better, help us be more intelligent because we want to be intelligent, but in my opinion, it should not stop me from utilizing my brain. It's assistance.
Sure. That's exactly what we need to use it for. We need to use it to enhance if you're working in a business, use it to enhance your teams, enhance your knowledge, and help point things out. Like maybe you just had a sales discussion with someone in the showroom floor. You could say, hey, this is what happened, this is what they said, this is what I said, what did I do wrong? Using it to enhance yourself, enhance your team, and enhance your knowledge to help you navigate your place of business and your knowledge. So that's the biggest thing. We can't abuse it. We can't use it for everything. Like you said, you could write a whole book if you wanted to, but you took the time to sit down and just help it give you ideas, help turn that light bulb on so you could keep going, right? So that's
correct.
Great point, and that's exactly where people need to lean more towards is using it to help you rather than abuse it.
Yeah. And I miss the days of having to really research and having to search, and I miss the days of going to Blockbuster to rent the video instead of just looking at stuff up at Netflix because I miss the challenge, right? But when you have something so simple that can just in 3 seconds just help you read something like, I didn't think of it that way. It's almost like you're listening to another person's opinion, and it's like, I didn't think of it that way, and that's all it is.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. As for a marketing standpoint for dealerships, where do you see them struggling the most with client acquisition? Like I know you said earlier you want to get clients, but the more you try to grab clients, the more they stay away from you at the same time. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, like you said earlier. Do you see social media kind of being the main attraction for dealerships, or are you still doing traditional marketing? What does that look like most from what you've seen?
I like the digital marketing. Depends on the dealership. Depends if it's an independent, buy here, pay here, if it's a new car franchise. It really depends. I think that most dealers, there's some good ones with great marketing directors. that have their finger on the pulse and they know what's going on and they do a better job. But most dealers just foolishly spend money. OEM is giving them co-op money. They get in bed with a vendor that does websites, that does CRMs, that does SEO, and the dealer chooses any one of those because that's going to be paid for by the OEM. You're going to write a check, and at the end of the month, you're going to get your co-op money with some vendors, right? So I always kind of like going against the grain. I like getting, obviously certain things I'll use, but because for compliance issues, or reasons. But my thing is, I kind of want to go. I'd rather work with somebody outside the box, so to speak. I saw a dealership. I read an interview. They have a person that's not a car person that used to do other kind of marketing, and he's doing things a little differently in the store. And I was reading an article, and I was like really impressed with how he thinks and what he's brought to the table. Because a lot of this stuff is one size fits all now, and and it hurts a lot because we don't ask the right questions because we don't know. Not a lot of dealers go to conferences. Fortunately, conferences don't sell out for that reason. There's a lot of things that go into what we do that a lot of questions aren't being asked. Listen, if I'm in the Bronx, if I'm in a major city, I'll probably still do newspaper because I know there's a lot of people still reading newspaper. I'll probably still do direct mail in certain parts of the country in certain months, but I'm all digital, right? At the end of the day, it's all about inventory. If your inventory's out there, you're going to get the lead. If you're priced right, you're going to get the lead, right? I feel like AI is starting to kind of, get its hands on it a little bit. But I believe that we need to have better management for our marketing. There's codes and different websites. Now, I haven't really done digital marketing for a couple of years, so I'm a little rusty. I was better with SEO and SEM 10 years ago, so I'm a little rusty. There's things that I haven't been through, but I can tell you there's a lot of different websites out there that have a lot of wrong coding. There's a lot of ways that traffic isn't dispersed the right way. There's a lot of broken things. There's a lot of broken data out there. Right now, we talk a lot about data management, right? Every time a dealership changes dealer management systems or CRMs, they lose a chunk of their data, okay? And a lot of dealerships are marketing to the wrong data, whether it's a wrong address or whether this person's deceased or not, whether this person's got the same phone number or email. We spend all these 5-6-figure budgets into our data, and a lot of it is because we want to try to bring people back. We want to bring people back into service. We want to bring people back to upgrade their vehicle and trade them out so we can sell them a new one. That's vehicle acquisition is the biggest thing now. There's dealerships building buying centers, and that's another way to generate leads. Bring people back 3 years later, buy their trade, and then sell them a newer vehicle. That's big right now. That we are trying to, at least the smarter dealers are trying to focus on working with what they have. If you have a huge database, work with what you have. Keep the relationship going. Life cycle management, right? There's a company that a friend of mine owns called Vincite, newer up and coming company. They're all about life cycle management. Love them. It's all about consistently staying in front of the people you're dealing with, and then the ones you haven't acquired as customers or guests, I like to call them, you market to them too, until you send them something that's going to resonate with them. They're going to buy it and say, you know what, let me give this dealership a shot. So that's where we're at. Life cycle management.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're in front of people and know where you are, where to find you, and who you are. When people come by a vehicle, they're not 9 times out of 10, they're not going to one dealership, seeing what they have and buying on that same day. They're going to take a look around. So as long as your name's out there, you're in one of the lists that they're coming to take a look. Just be in front of people, just be out there, do things a little bit different just to stand out from the crowd, because a lot of the times you see dealerships doing the exact same thing. But as soon as every business, you see them marketing the same way, you see them doing their social media the same way, you hear their ads on the radio, they're all the exact same. But as soon as you do something different, people remember that. So with your marketing, always make it different. Always, even the culture of inside of your dealership or your lot, just make something a little bit different that keeps bringing people back. And I like the point that you said earlier is that your data is messed up, and you might be marketing the wrong people because they might be passed away. They might have the wrong addresses, or they have 4 different profiles with the same phone number and 4 different ways to spell the same name. That's one of the biggest things that I hear as well, is that no one's data is perfect, and then they bring on these extra CRMs, they bring on all these new programs and dealer management systems, but it doesn't help because they still implement their obviously their costs are further up, and they implement the same data into these new systems, and they're just even further behind. So one of the biggest things that I hear is they need to clean their data, go through and have something that organizes, and someone on top of it. They need someone specifically running the data, making sure that everything is good, so you don't have 4 different profiles with the same vehicle, kind of the same name, spelt differently every single time, and the same phone number, because that's going to cause confusion from service to dealership, and everything just kind of falls from there.
I want to address real quick. I'm sorry. I want to address social media because you asked about that. I kind of skipped that part. Social media. So I used to have a social media agency called Social Share. Had a business partner. We developed a dealership brand for a store. We blew them up nationally, maybe even globally. And we haven't been working with them in years. And I closed my agency down. Used to go into dealerships, so we used to focus on a lot of content, videos, cars, community, culture, right? And that was the thing for us back in the day. We were very big on that. However, I feel like the social media has shifted with that too. There's a lot of people, a lot of dealerships are just creating a bunch of foolish content. And I'm not trying to be a hater for all you car dealers out there, but people, like I watch people do little skits. They're funny. They're great. They're entertaining for guys like me, people that are other dealerships. We could sit there and laugh and like on it, and we waste our time throughout the, instead of selling cars and generating traffic, we're wasting our time watching all this nonsense, right? And like I watched a video the other day where a guy was talking to a bad credit customer, and the way he was talking down to him, he was being very offensive and calling him out on everything, and he was like abusing the guy, right? And he posts that out, and he gets 5,000 views or 5,000 likes. Yeah, it's funny to watch, but what are you telling your customers? You're telling your customers that you don't have good customer service, you don't know how to talk to people, and you just abuse your people? Are they going to want to buy cars? What are you doing when there was a video that a few people, and some of these dealers have no creativity. They copy everybody else. There's somebody did a video where they're working with a customer and they're asking for wiggle room. Hey, is there wiggle room on the price? They get the customer up and they bring them to another room and say, here's the wiggle room. And you have 20 people sitting there doing the wiggle. Like, it's funny, but like, what are you telling your people? And then it's like, oh, this is for lead generation. Well, let me ask you a question. I want to see the data. I've still yet to see one video get me 20 leads. I want to know, am I getting 1 lead, 2 leads? Yeah, maybe somebody is going to look at it and laugh and say, this is cute, quirky, I'm going to go buy a car. But I have yet to see the data. Just like back in the day, we have yet to see the data, how a Facebook post would promote. You put some random BS Facebook post and you have 1 like. You don't know if it sells a car or not, right? Back in the day, if you advertise on the paper, you don't know how many cars the paper sold you unless you tracked with call tracking. And we got 100 phone calls, we brought in 30 people, we sold 15 cars. That, I know I sold 15 cars. Of the ones that I can track, what about people that walked in the door? I don't know how many of them walked. Could be 2, could be 0, could be 20, right? So how do we track this stuff? And why are we putting content out there that makes us look stupid? Why would you want to put something out there, even like internal stuff from the business, that's going to make us look like we're ignorant, like we're foolish, like we're trying to take advantage of somebody, like we're trying to, have zero empathy for somebody with credit challenges, right? Why are we putting the things that some dealers, now I'm not saying I do, I'm not saying that most dealers that I know do it, but there's dealers that I know that do this where they go and they laugh and they high five when they make 10 grand in a car. There was a guy that posted, made a TikTok at a Honda store somewhere that he was bragging on a TikTok that he made $10,000 profit on a single mother. I think he got fired. But why would you post something like that? So that's where I have an issue with social media in 2025. I would rather go back to social media 2020 where we weren't being as foolish. That's the problem that I have with leadership is we allow the crazy things that go out there.
Yeah.
That's
Totally agree with you. The biggest thing is you can have your social media accounts because it creates local traffic. People know who you are. As long as you have that digital presence, they're going to come see you. But back to what you said, you don't want to post crazy stunts, crazy stuff that's going to give you a bad reputation at the end of the day. You really need to take a second to think of what is the customer that walks in the door. What if they watched this on your showroom floor? Like, what are they going to think of that, or your team, right? You want to make sure that it's all for the customer, because at the end of the day, that your customers make the money, like they pay your bills for the dealership. So you need to make sure they're happy, coming back, and at the end of the day, if you can make your customer happy once, they're probably going to come back in the next few years for that next vehicle. So that's the biggest thing, like you said. Just have a digital presence. Don't make it crazy. Don't make it huge, but make it there. And even do like comparison videos. I had a Lexus store on here, and they have a huge following on YouTube. They do a lot of comparison videos. They do a lot of videos on the new Lexuses or things like that, and they're great educational videos. And that's great content for your prospects, for your clients, because it's educational. You're helping them learn, and they're gonna listen. And he said it's amazing because he'll have people call him. They have a huge following, but he said he'll have people call him all around the world, be like, "Hey, I just wanted to call in, saw your YouTube video, it was great, etc." But then you'll have local people come in and be like, "Hey, I've seen him somewhere," because they watched the YouTube video before they come in, trying to learn a little bit more about the vehicle they want to buy. So yeah, educational content's always going to be the best content you can put out there. Don't make your content look stupid. Don't make it look dumb. Keep it educational. Keep it simple for your prospects, for your clients.
And by the way, you mentioned Lexus, right? I drive a Lexus. I'm looking to replace mine right now, right? And Lexus is a perfect example, right? You got an upscale, clientele, right? Sometimes, a little bit of an older demographic, right? The younger folks, they love their BMWs and their Audis. I love Lexus for reliable. I don't buy a Lexus because to flash and I make money. I buy a Lexus. I buy a used one because it's reliable. Drive the car for 5-6 years. The car I just totaled, I had for 3 months, unfortunately, right? So like a Lexus customer, they're not going to appreciate watching you berate your customers on TikTok, right? So that's not the kind of content you want to put out at a Lexus store. I'm pretty sure Lexus as an OEM would probably slap you on the wrist for it too. That's a good example of, you have to know your demographic and you have to be careful what you post.
Great point. Looking in the future for dealer eTraining, what are some of your goals for the company? Where do you want to take the company? Is there new initiatives that you're looking to get into? What are you excited about for the future?
I'm in a good place in life right now, thankfully. And I would say I would like to make it more profitable, even more. I would like to do more speaking, coaching. I love the facilitator stuff. I love working with OEMs. It looks like I'm about to more than likely extend my contract with the OEM I'm working with now for next year, hopefully. I would love to get back into doing some more buy your pay your stuff, more virtual things like trainings, but more like we're doing right now in a training setting. I'd love to build an LMS that I can sell, an inexpensive one, and maybe start to play around with a version of myself that I can create, an AI that I can sell. Nothing expensive. I realize that if I can have a cost-effective product that does the work, you'll never lose clients. When you can sell something in a lower price point and it's effective, you can scale it and have a lot of business and be good to go. Versus it's hard to get into a store and charge a few grand a day and do what you do, because I feel like that model slowly starting to die out.
Yeah, for sure. AI would be cool. Having you there when they have questions to ask, you're right there. You're an agent. Super easy. It's a great idea, and a lot of companies might need something like that. Like ChatGPT only knows so much about dealerships.
Correct.
Only knows so much about sales, and how the process should be at the end of the day.
Yes.
And it's a great idea. If you could go back to when you started your dealer eTraining, what advice would you have given yourself?
Uh, what would I give myself? Spend more time prospecting. I had already been known in the industry, so I was relying on people calling me, but I would probably knock on doors a little more, be a little bit more aggressive with that. I'd be better with my money. I did a lot of foolish things with my money. I went broke. I went broke two, 2 years after, 2.5 years after I started the business. I went broke, like really broke, and then I rebuilt. And so I would probably be better with my money. Probably start investing. I got into investing a little bit later in life, but I probably would have just been a little bit smarter with my money, and I would have been more aggressive. And I think I would have been a little bit more accountable for things, and I would have had less of an ego. Um, as you mentioned earlier in the intro, one of the youngest speakers trainers for a couple of dealer associations, right? That got to my head. I was 27 years old, and I'm like, yeah, what do they know? I'm speaking on stage, right? And the ego kind of kicks in, so I probably get a little bit more humble. And it took a few years, I got more humble. Now I'm just a regular stand-up chill guy, and I'm pretty humble about stuff. And I'm not chasing fame. I'm not like a lot of this. What we do in the industry is a lot of us. We go to. I have a friend named Paul, and he does a lot of podcasts and stuff. Where he always jokes about whenever there's a conference. It's that time of year again, and he puts a little bingo thing, and he jokes about people showing up to conferences to take these expensive selfies with people they'll never do business with, and that happens a lot, right? There's a lot of that. There's a big high school clique, and everybody that I've realized, and I've been doing in the vendor game for 17 years now. Everybody gets their 5 minutes of fame, where they speak here, and everybody knows them. They get in magazines, and then eventually you slow down and you just steadily do what you do. A lot of the people that I've known that have been in this game before me, they're humble. They got multi-million-dollar businesses, software companies. They're not out there looking for fame. They go on stage to speak because it promotes their business. And I was like, I want to be here. I want to speak here. And then the other part of it was how you handle rejection. I used to take it very personal. I used to, there's relationships that were ruined because I was acting immature on that, right? And I'm not afraid to share this because that's my growth. I'm 42 years old now. If you look at the 42-year-old version of me now, as opposed to the 27-year-old version of me, complete 360. I can look differently. I think differently. I don't need to be a superstar. I don't need to build $1 billion company. I just want to, I want to enjoy my home. I want to enjoy my pets. I want to enjoy my cars. And I have, you don't see this, but I got 14 guitars. I play guitar for one.
That's crazy.
I want to enjoy that makes sense to me. I want to make a good living. And if it gets me fame and it gets me seen, great. The reason why I'm doing podcasts like this and I'm doing 2 or 3 a week is because it's marketing. It puts me out there, and it also gives me an open mind and the ability after this to listen to what you have, because I'm always curious. Whether you have 1 follower or 1 million followers, I'm always curious to see what you have, because you may have something I may do business with you, or you may say something that comes out as an idea, like, ooh, I should probably do this. Or I may say something that will enhance your business. So for me, it's always about being around people, but keep your ego in check. That's the one thing that I would tell myself.
I love that. And I love that you're getting on podcasts, trying to expand your audience, expand yourself, market yourself, learn at the end of the day, because that's what we're here for. We're here to network. And the reason we network is to learn from other people. Maybe, like you said, maybe we can do business with other people.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is spend every day learning. This is some of my biggest advice. Spend every day learning, because there's always something to learn. There's always something to grow on. And if you're not learning, you're standing still. And that's when you start getting in your head, right? If you're learning every day and you're growing as a person, you're going to keep reaching for bigger goals, and keep reaching that glass ceiling and breaking it. But as soon as you stop, you'll keep hitting that glass ceiling. You'll never go through it. So just to add a little bit more on top of that, before we finish things off, I just want to ask you where people can learn more about you, more about Dealer eTraining, where they can find you and get a hold of you.
So I have a lot of websites. Just made a post. My marketing guy just put a post. So dealeretraining.com. That's dealer, the letter E, thewordtraining.com. That's my main dealer training website for my automotive dealership consulting services. I also just launched bhph-training.com, which is specifically towards buy here, pay here dealers for phone skills, lead handling, CRM, collections, for departments to handle communication. And then there's my main site, which is stansher.net. That's STANSHER.net, which is my, it's basically a website where you could book me, you can look at, it's basically kind of like a bio website, but you can actually book me for a podcast. You could book me to come speak at your event, corporate training. It's more of a speaker website for me, but it has links to everything there. It's the general one. And then I also have dealer BDC.net, which is my outsourced call center in the Philippines for dealers that we have a BDC for.
Amazing. Anything to say to the audience before we finish things off? And cut the clip?
I'm gonna say this, and hopefully we got some youngsters. I'm doing a lot of facilitating around generations. Millennials, boomers, Gen X, right? What the future looks like. And one thing that I want to say real quick is, the more I'm doing these coaching sessions, the more I'm realizing, because I have 61-year-olds to 23-year-olds in the room. We have a lot more similarities than we think. So I don't want you to sit there and see somebody from different generations say, oh, they're old school, they're this, they're that. We have a lot more in common than we sometimes think, and I'm realizing that when I'm talking to people. So the reason why I bring this up is I want you all to have an open mind, right? I want you to wake up every day. I want you to spend 15 minutes developing yourself. Whether you're listening to Gary Vaynerchuk or me or whoever, right? Whoever you want to listen to, go on YouTube, spend 15 minutes watching motivational, inspirational video. Get into that entrepreneurial mindset. Read 10 pages or a chapter of a book. I also think that every person needs to write a book at one point in their life. I wouldn't do it in my 20s, but I would wait till you're in your late 30s or 40s, because it's amazing how much of a story that you have. My story from going broke, from building myself up to going broke, to building myself up to going broke, to writing a book, to being in this relationship, to doing this, doing that. I did it for marketing, right? So I want you to all, number one, stop being afraid of the camera. People are like, I don't want to be in front of a camera. Look, everywhere you work, there's a camera. You'd be sitting in an office in a dealership, there's a camera watching you. Big Brother is watching you no matter what happens. So stop being afraid of being seen and focus on developing the skills so that when you are seen, you're effective, you're sharp, you can speak, and stop worrying if you get 1 like or versus 1 million likes. It doesn't matter, okay? I get 3 likes on some posts. Some posts get 50. It doesn't matter, because guess what? Somehow you and I connected. You found me, here we are talking, right? It's all about opportunities. You can have 1 million opportunities that silently creep up just by how you conduct yourself. So have an open mind and be coachable and focus on motivating your mind 15 minutes a day. That's what I have to say.
Great advice. I use that myself. Always pushing towards myself mentally, physically, pushing myself, learning about myself, learning from others, and just trying to become the best version of myself as well. So
love it.
If anyone needs help with it, reach out to me, reach out to Stan, or if they just need someone to talk to, like, we're always here. We're all in the same.
Yes.
We're all in the same business. We're all here to help people, make people happier, and at the end of the day, that's what our missions are here to do. So
Correct.
Stan, thank you for coming to the podcast. Really appreciate it. A pleasure speaking with you. Pleasure gaining some of your knowledge, your experience, because you have tons in the industry, and I loved hearing your story as well.
Appreciate that.